Welcome to Midlife Mojo. I'm Sharlene Stiles. This is a softer place for women who've been pushing through for far too long, where we untangle the deeper patterns beneath how you feel and why. I'm glad you're here. I want to start by telling you why this series exists, because it didn't come from a curriculum. It came from a pattern I just couldn't stop seeing in myself first, and then in almost every woman that I've ever worked with. They were the women doing their best to feel better and wondering why their bodies just weren't responding the way that they hoped that they would. You may know that I spent years in finance. I was in the all go and no slow mode. I was pushing very hard in a masculine industry and trying to do it in a feminine way and not even really knowing what that even meant or what that looked like. And at some point, I started running as a way to improve my health, or so I thought at the time, a way to get some more movement in from a very sedentary lifestyle and career, and relief from what I viewed as a very stressful juncture of my life. And running, it led to more movement, to more endorphins and more forward motion. And then I realized one day while I was running that it was just more of the same, more go, go, go. More run, run, run. I was just wearing a different outfit, but I was still following the same pattern that I was feeling in my life and in my work and in my career. And very serendipitously around the same time, I walked into my very first yoga class. I remember that class like it was yesterday. I remember the setting, the instructor, her voice, and perhaps most importantly, how funny it was that I chose to do this on my very first wedding anniversary with my then husband. And in that class, something in me just went, my body just kind of melted along with my mind. I melted the guarded, the uptight, the frustrated, stressed out person that I was during the day. When I was laying on the floor, that part of me just melted into the floor. I felt so peaceful, so held. And I remember this is what I've been missing. And that one class stuck with me. I dabbled in yoga periodically, off and on, without really ever fully committing to that path. And that first class, it took a few more years for it to eventually grab its entire hold and fully land and hook me in the kind of all-in kind of way. But when it did, everything changed. I mean, literally. My career, my life, my outlook, my direction in life, my marriage, all of it. And it set me down this long and beautiful windy road, first by studying nutrition and the body and anatomy and all the things that come with studying holistic nutrition, then into the depths of yoga and becoming an instructor, and then later studying and teaching meditation and exploring various energy modalities, psychosomatic patterns, and eventually somatics. It was all in an effort to bring calm to a mind and body that had never really learned how. And about 10 years ago, I found somatics because I realized that it offered something deeper, not just managing the patterns intellectually, but actually beginning to rewire them through the body, which was kind of mind-blowing to me. And then my life got loud again, the way real life does, with responsibilities and bills and demands and all the things. And I let it fade, which I've also come to understand is a pattern. And we may talk about more later. But last year I found myself diving back into somatics on a much deeper level through my original meditation teacher trainer, because I couldn't ignore what I was seeing anymore in myself and in so many of the women that I work with. I saw the same nervous system patterns, the same adaptations, and the same loops repeating beneath the different symptoms, the behaviors, and the stories. Because what I've learned about myself and the women that I work with, that these patterns that live in our bodies and minds, they didn't start in adulthood. They started much earlier with the chaos or scarcity or the not enoughness or not worthiness or not lovable. That nervous system learns very quickly, and it learns very young, and it keeps running the same program decades after. And we just dress it up with a variety of different labels, some that you may sound familiar? Like productivity or perfectionist, or being competent and holding it all together. Which is why so many women feel frustrated when their bodies don't respond the way that they think that they should. And interestingly, many of us don't even recognize these patterns as stress anymore because they've just become so familiar. We think this is just who we are. Meanwhile, the body is still responding to them every single day. And once you see the patterns, you just can't unsee it. That's what this series is. It's a bit of a spotlight, perhaps a gentle one, but still a spotlight on the patterns that we've lived inside for years and how they eventually show up in our thoughts, our bodies, our behaviors, and our lives. I'm not sharing this from the outside looking in. I'm sharing it because I've lived it. I'm actually still living it. And I know how much it matters to finally understand and see what's been actually running the show. It's my hope that these conversations become little reminders for your nervous system that sometimes awareness can change things, and that many of the patterns we judge ourselves in were once forms of protection have become our way of adapting. These are love notes for your nervous system, and I'm so glad that you found them. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. I hope this gave you something to reflect on, or maybe helped you feel a little more seen in something that you've been quietly carrying. And if these nervous system love notes support you in some way, feel free to subscribe here on Substack so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, take good care of your nervous system, your body, and your heart.